Hey everybody, this is Alex Merced from alexmercedcoder.com, and this is another episode of the Web Dev 101 podcast. And on this episode, I'm going to be talking about CORS, okay? Generally, in any developer's life, you run into this fun problem, CORS, cross-origin resource sharing. Generally, what happens, you try to make some sort of API call, fetch, Axios, Ajax. You try to make the call, and it's unsuccessful, and you look in your browser console, and it says, it's a CORS permission error. The request has been blocked. What does this mean? What does this mean? Well, this is a security feature that exists in web browsers. And what it is just trying to say that, hey, two sites, if one website wants to make a request to another via code that runs in the browser, they should explicitly state that they have permission. So generally what happens is that you may not, sometimes you'll see this if you take a look at your network tab in your dev tools, you'll see that there's two requests. You'll see like there's a request that has the method options. Okay, this is I think referred to as a pre-flight request. So the idea is like before we actually make the request. And the idea is that what they want is to get the response headers of the server you're making a request of. And they're looking for certain headers, particularly like access. I think it's like allow, access, control, origin, or access, control, allow. It's some combination of these words. Okay, but it's looking for so it's always like access, allow, control, or control, access, allow. Again, the exact combination I forget, but it's those three words, and then there's like the thing that it's allowing. So there's it. I think it's access, control, allow. There we go. Because it's access control, and we're going to allow origin, allow method, allow headers. And the idea is that if it says allow origin, it's like these are the websites that are allowed, these URLs are allowed to make requests to this server. If it's like methods, they're allowed to make these particularly method types of requests. Headers, only these headers are allowed to be passed into my API. Okay, and it allows the person who creates the API to sort of put limits. But the thing is that if they don't specify these headers, it doesn't, just the browser assumes that you're not allowed to make a request to that website. So oftentimes you create an API, and then when you try to make a call to your own API from your front end, you get all these, errors. So oftentimes you get this like middleware, like a CORS middleware in Express, and there's CORS middleware in pretty much every framework. But all that framework is all that's really doing is adding those headers. So you could easily just add those headers yourself, and you wouldn't have those CORS errors. Okay, because you'd get the appropriate headers would be sent back. Those CORS headers. Okay, so just to kind of understand what's going on here. So that's why you have those two requests. Again, first you have the options method request. It gets back the headers. It confirms that you're allowed to make the request, then makes the oncoming request as your get, your post, your put, etc., knowing that it is allowed to do so. But again, this is all those headers exist on the responding server. So people are always thinking like, what can I do in my code to get around like the CORS errors I'm getting from X API? You can't. Okay, there are people who create like proxy servers to get around it, but it's never like a smooth solution. At the end of the day, if someone is saying, hey, I don't want you making requests to my API, then you shouldn't be making requests to their API. Okay? And if they didn't set up their API correctly, well, that's on them. There's nothing you can really do about it. You can't fix their API. I mean, I guess you could go on GitHub, find the code, make a pull request. And on that note, a couple other announcements. So there's one, I don't know if I mentioned this in the previous podcast, but I discovered like GitHub Labs. So if you go to lab.github.com, it's this huge learning center with all these lessons on using GitHub features that are really, really good, really well done, because it like uses GitHub automations to actually like guide you through the lesson, which is actually really cool. So I highly recommend like trying those out, those especially like the ones on like GitHub Actions. It's a great way to learn about things like continuous integration, continuous deployment, basically Docker containers, and just general automation. Very, very, very cool learning tool. Two, also I released another library. Yes, I know I've been releasing a lot of libraries lately, but this one's called Mongo Rester. So you can do npm install Mongo Rester. What it does, it allows you to create CRUD in Mongo literally within one command. It's kind of works kind of like a React hook, but for generating a CRUD API in Mongo. So with Mongo and Express. So literally all you do is you pass into a function your a string with the name of your model. So let's say note, and then an object with your schema definition, and it returns you the model and the router. And then you just plug the router into your middleware, and ta-da, you have your CRUD routes set to go, which is pretty cool. So check that out. I did make a tutorial video. I did redo my libraries page, so it's easier to look through all my different libraries. And I also did a new video on router and a new video on like collaboration. So if you want to like hear about like setting up different branches and how do you work on a dev team and manage sort of the workflow, check that out. But aside, that's sort of all the new stuff. My name is Alex Merced from alexmercedcoder.com. Make sure you join the Discord and Slack communities. I do have them set up now that every time I post a new podcast or post a new video or post a new blog, those places will get updated, so you won't miss anytime I issue new content. And plus you get to meet other people and talk to them over there on Discord and Slack. So check those out. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you guys later.